Okay, so this is a live demonstration about how we mentioned earlier on about the Q chain of a ransomware. If we, with reference back to what we talked earlier on, cyber Q chain of a ransomware involved in a way of weaponizing a document and then creating some malicious scripts embedded inside such documents, uh, thereby triggering a malware payload delivery, and after that the execution of the files, followed by the execution. Okay, this is a Windows environment. Is installed with optics. Now the optics, today we are able to actually enforce prevention, but in the essence of, we want to let the malware run and see what really happens in the entire queue chain itself. That's where we allow that to run, and that's what traditionally EDR solutions will be actually behaving in the environment itself. Now, as I mentioned this, Cylance has every single possibility to prevent the attack at a very, very early stage. Okay, so say that this is actually a documents files itself. Usually, a users will actually goes through this folder in the early morning part, whereby he or she will actually turn on this execute this Excel spreadsheet. You can see over here, the Excel spreadsheet looks very normal, but we saw something that is macros has been enabled. Sometimes it will prompt the users to enable the macro, because by enabling the macros will then reflect some certain information that is required by the Excel spreadsheet. Now, if the macro is all about tabulating, calculating, automating certain calculation, obviously that is normal script. But if these macros trigger a PowerShell and do a malware payload delivery, then this is something that we do not like, or we do not want that to happen. Now, okay, so this is a macro. So what we do here is that we can enable this content itself. Now, before I actually enable the content, I just want to make sure that all my files that you see here are still available for viewing. Alright, so when I actually enable this command itself, you will be able to see that the optics is actually shouting out that something that is malicious that is happening, and in this folder itself, you will be able to see the malware payload is being delivered. Okay, in the demonstration I delivered, we specifically delivered to the documents, but in real world it could be delivered to the temp folder, and thereby you will not be able to even see this file in the operating system. Now, as I go through, right, the alerts, the optics actually reflect back. Every time an alert reflect by optic, it means that it has the capability to stop the execution. Now, you could see in a short while's time, right, all these files has been encrypted. Okay, we saw that happening, and if we go to this encrypted document, it actually tells you how this file could be decrypted and where are the email or where are the informations that you can pay to decrypt all your files itself. Now you can see over here in this demonstration, what we saw was just a very simple Excel document where we enable the document when we enable the macros, the payload delivery actually becomes successful and it actually get executed. Now, the next part here that we are going to go through is we want to pivot into our console, what we have seen. Okay, so this is what really happened in the last example that we seen here. We kind of have a timeline of event that was actually an Excel spreadsheet that trigger PowerShell or something like this along the way, and it actually create a download of a file called careful.exe. Now, if you can see over the optics, it reflects exactly what we went through. So the Office document actually was being triggered. There was an alert being triggered because an Office was actually trying to do a script, right? It's trying to run a script. Now the script thereby actually initiate a PowerShell download, which is over here. followed by the machine learning actually step in and says that, hey, this is something that is not really a normal behavior, and that's why the machine learning starts to actually have the ability to tell the user, says that this is something not right. Now, after that, what happened was that we saw the ransomware being executed, and thereby this is one part whereby uh, we all know, right? Ransomware, in order for ransomware to work successfully, the first thing they want to do is to delete your shadow copy, so that there's no way and means for you to restore the files that was actually been encrypted. So these are the few things. Now, I would actually hope, I mean, we can actually go through all these details, but in the essence of time, what we will be going through is the one-liner ML module. So when we actually go through the one-liner ML modules that we see here, what we really want to see was a very high level of what happens. So what does the machine learning tell the user? What is it that the behavior base was not something that they like? So it was actually a PowerShell that triggers a careful.exe file, right? That's all that it actually mentioned. High level, very high level. Okay, you will see the PowerShell actually has some sleep commands, all these things, and this is the file. And where is it residing? It was actually it's executed under this document folder. As a SOC analyst, this could be an indication that something that you need to look into. And why is that actually the something that you need to look into is probably careful.exe, this file itself, what really happened. Because PowerShell can download any file, but we want to see what this careful.exe really is doing. Now, we actually look at this over here. The artifact shows that this is careful.exe residing in this etan optics one. And if we can look at here, right, there were a series of sequence that actually happened, right? But the most important part here, when what I'm going to go through is the key element. We take one subset of what happens and walk you through the whole flow. Okay, this is actually the Excel spreadsheet.exe that was actually being triggered. The Excel spreadsheet started, and thereby creating another process called the PowerShell. Okay, and the PowerShell, when it executed, what it did was it went to this command, okay, and download a file from this URL, okay, cp share. After that, after the download, what it does was that it renamed to careful.exe. Now, the attackers rename, and we purposely rename it to something that is meaningful, right? In situation whereby the attackers wants to masquerade, he could actually rename it as system32.exe. Okay, and when we go through the timeline of event, now the PowerShell actually started itself. Now the PowerShell actually get executed. So this was the real execution. Okay, and the where this come from, right? The PowerShell actually came from this book1.xlms, right? And the path name is over here. You can see that this is actually triggered by the book one, and you can identify where this malicious document is residing. It could be residing in an Outlook. It could be residing in anywhere of the of your hard drive. Subsequently, what we saw here was that there was a network connection. Okay, there was a network connection over here. The PowerShell actually tries to connect to the network. And where is it connecting to? It was actually connecting to 46.166.139.207 via encrypted channel. Now again, if you are using gateway kind of antivirus or any gateway kind of mechanisms to track this, you probably will not be successful because it is all encrypted. Now, we are able to see the payload, everything, because the source of truth is always coming from the endpoint itself. Now, if I actually goes to VirusTotal itself and I look through where this file is, okay, then I do a search. of this where this URL resolve, it looks like it's not a very good URL, right? There's a lot of it's under the domain called ZP-share, and let's reference back, okay, to what we actually saw earlier on. Now in this Excel, right, what we see here is that a PowerShell that has done a download of ZP-share. As an analyst, you might be wondering whether is it a successful download or not. But today, Optics and the Cylance actually confirm that for you, that that was a successful download, because the PowerShell actually has a successful connection to this IP address that resolve into ZP-share. Now, when the file is being downloaded itself, okay, Cylance predictive AI model has been able to actually identify the file. It actually score it as 100. So we immediately says that it was actually a very bad file, and the file path is over here, and it was detected by execution control. So when we talk about execution control, we are clearly knows that the file is not scanned by whatever new file scan or whatever background check detections. It was catched because the file actually execute. So we could have actually have prevented this, okay, as well. So where's the file name? The file name was careful.exe. Where was it found? It was found in this directory, so on and so forth. And then careful.exe continues to actually get executed itself. And after that, what happened was careful.exe started another process called the vss admin.exe. What is the description of this? It was actually a command line interface to control, to tell the volume shadow copy service what to do. And you can see the command line that was issued was to ask this volume shadow copy service to delete shadow copies quietly. And then after that, this shadow copies actually runs through. Okay, so we could actually continue the investigation, but so far we have actually identified, and a summary recap of what happened was we know that it was an Excel spreadsheet, and we know what is the name of the Excel spreadsheet and where it is residing. This is number one. We also know that this Excel spreadsheet triggered a PowerShell download, and the PowerShell download was actually downloading a careful.exe file. This exe file, this careful.exe file, was actually identified using the domain called ZP-share to get it downloaded. And at the same time, when this file get executed, the volume shadow copy deletion, the service was actually being called to delete all the shadow copies. And finally, it encrypt all the files itself. So this is actually a walkthrough, and yep. So I hope that you all enjoy this demonstration itself to really demonstrate the capability of Cylance being able to detect, and at the same time, at any sequence itself, at any point of time, Cylance has the ability to prevent that attack from happening, and that will comes in all automated fashion.